Nothing signals the start of the shaming an NFL draft class is going to take more so than people already getting excited about next year's class. And I ain't no shade. Ain't no shade here. Matt Miller is one of the best in the game. One of the most recognizable draft voices in the space, and he's already got it popping. The 2027 NFL draft class has the potential to be one of the best ever in capital letters, EVER. And the Jets now have 3 first-round picks to use. Talking about the big trade this past week here at the NFL trade deadline. Jets moving on from all-pro cornerback Sauce Gardner, them getting 2 picks. What does all that stuff mean? What's it mean for some of the veteran quarterbacks in the NFL? These moves that happened here at the NFL trade deadline. And yeah, we got to talk about the college football class here in 2026. I'm not ready to say 2027 is going to be one of the best ever, but it looks good. And y'all know who is headlined by that big dog out of Ohio State, number 4, Jeremiah Smith. I saw Dane Brugler tweet out earlier this week, if teams could draft the rights to Jeremiah Smith this year, knowing you can't get the player to 2027, what would he be worth this year? Top overall pick, top 5 pick. We're going to talk about the wide receiver class here in 26 versus 2025. Take a look at a mock draft by my dog, Trevor Sikema, over at PFF, a post-trade deadline 2026 mock. Talk through some of the premium players, some of the premier positions in this upcoming class. And yeah, we got to talk about the QBs because you know what? That's the strength and the weakness of a class. How strong is the QB market? And right now, a little uncertainty here in 2026, but I appreciate y'all pulling up. Y'all know what it is. We have a good time every time. Hit the thumbs up button, like the content, subscribe to the channel, comment below. 2026 wide receivers in a mock draft. Ball talk starts right now. Let's get it. All right, so the 2026 NFL draft class, we talked about the QBs last week, and in week 9, some of the quarterbacks that we talked about went out there and did exactly what they needed to do. Sam Darnold was incredible. Probably had the best game of his NFL career, over 300 passing yards. 1 point, what do you have, 17 straight completions, tied Warren Moon for the longest completion record in Seahawks history. I mean, he was dialed in. And I know Darnold right now, he's under a 3-year contract, but I believe the way that thing is structured is really like a 1-year deal with no guaranteed money, no dead cap, something that they're probably going to have to redo. We talked about it last week. Are we sure some of these cats in college are better than the veterans right now in the NFL? And my answer to that question to myself and to you was maybe talent-wise, sure, but we all know situation also is a big part of success of players. It's not just their individual skill set and their talent level. And yeah, there are some guys that can overcome bad situations, overcome bad schemes. But by and large, like, it's talent plus coaching staff, plus situation, plus other talent around them that really helps these players either thrive and succeed, or you see them take a step back and fail and don't reach their full potential. So when you look at some of the QBs that we talked about last week, Mac Jones went out there, and I thought versus the Giants, he did his job. Mac Jones is playing damn good football for the 49ers right now, got them still very much in playoff contention for a wild card spot, for an NFC title, NFC West title. Tua, not so much, right? Looked all right the first half versus the Ravens, and then the second half it went off the rails. Looks like Tua's time in Miami is probably over. And I know there's a lot of money situations, a lot of contract stuff that can prohibit that from happening, but right now it looks like they need another direction. They fired their GM. I don't think Mike McDaniel is going to be there at the end of the season. They're riding with him right now, but he's probably going to be on a new spot. Darnold's locked into Seattle. I know Daniel Jones stunk it up versus the Pittsburgh Steelers, but they traded 2 first-round picks for Sauce Gardner this week. I said it as soon as it happened. I was on the Bleacher Report stream. As soon as it happened, I said, you're not moving 2 first-round picks when you're uncertain about the quarterback spot. They know who their quarterback of at least the immediate future is, and it's Daniel Jones. May not like it, may not love the name. I know his story and what he's been through in the past, but right now, with Shane Steichen, the way this offense is constructed, it's working. It's working. In the NFL, the window is so short, you got to do with what's working right now. These rookies, the guaranteed hit rate of a first-round pick is less than 100%. Just because you're drafted number 1 overall, number 2, number 32, or number 256 doesn't guarantee you anything other than some opportunity, right? You still got to go on the field. You still got to ball out. You still got to play. I didn't mind the trade. You can call it an overpay all you want. You're getting an all-pro cornerback. You're moving what you perceive to be 2 late-round picks in the first round. You got your quarterback, so you got some flexible money to throw around. Go get it. If this is the window in which the Colts have, go get it. Daniel Jones locked into place. I think Marcus Mariota is another one of those quarterbacks with Jaden Daniels going down. Is he playing for a spot start opportunity next year? Joe Flacco, I know he's 55 years old, but if he keeps balling out right now, 470 damn yards versus the Bears, 470, you tell me this 40-year-old dude, 500 yards? He might say, I want one more year. We still got Aaron Rodgers. The point is, right, I think the reason why this conversation is so relevant now is I reached out. I talked to Jordan Reed from ESPN today and said, hey, man, like, am I on an island here? Am I on an island? Because I'm still not convinced. You feel it. Every year you kind of know, all right, they're going to come out. Jaden Daniels is declaring. Caleb Williams has done all he needs to do in college. He's coming out. It just doesn't feel like some of the guys that we continue to see mocked at the top of the board are going to declare. Some people that I know that follow Oregon very closely said I'd be absolutely stunned if Dante Moore declared here in 2026. Now, there's still a little bit of ball left to be played. We'll see. I don't think he's coming out. So for me, I'm not really factoring him into the process right now. I think the one that seems like the play on the field might most match an NFL-ready skill set, or at least draftable in the first round, is Ty Simpson. But I'm telling you right now, if I got to pick him at number 1 overall, I don't know. I may want to just go with a veteran quarterback. But here's the thing. This show ain't about the QB position, even though we will talk about it as we look through the mock from my dog, Trevor Sikkema, PFF. It's about a position of strength. I do think an area of strength in this 2026 class, no doubt about it, the wide receiver group. You know, we're coming off of a few years where we've gotten some really good receivers in the NFL. 2023, Jackson Smith and Jigba now looks like the best wide receiver in the game. Him up there with Jamar Chase, Puka Nacua, CeeDee Lamb. 2024, Malik Neighbors prior to the injury. Saw Ladd McConkey come out of that class. Brian Thomas Jr. struggling right now. Xavier Worthy struggling. Marv had a big game versus Dallas, so there's some potential, some hope, some hype there. Here in this past year's draft class, the best one, Emeka Egbuka. Top pick, Tedderone McMillan, playing well, looks good. 2026, there's some dogs coming out. There's some absolute studs in this 2026 class. Let's pull up the mock. Let's pull up Sikkema's mock. Let's look at the mock, talk through some of the names, talk about some of these high-level receivers, because I do believe we're going to get another group where we get 4 or 5 first-round picks at the receiver position. And yeah, you might be like, I don't know if they're deserving of a top 10 pick or a top 15 pick. We see it every year. It's scheme, team, skill fit, right? Does the player's skill set match that team scheme? Does that fit? Does that work? And I think the great thing about this class is there are a variety of archetype of wide receiver to choose from. You want the shifty, dynamic, playmaking slot receiver that can help you in the return game. A&M's got a dog, KC Concepcion. You want the big, physically imposing, outside, traditional X, go to Washington. Denzel Boston's got you covered. You want the slot merchant that can do a little bit of everything, just Mr. Eddie, steady, big play, not sexy, no arm sleeves. Makai Lemon at USC, he's your guy. The point is, like, there are so many cats in this class. I think the game is really turned from identifying what guys can play to, once they're drafted, who's got the best fit, right? When Emeka Egbuka got drafted in 2025, there were some roadblocks in his way. There were some hurdles that he had to go around, go over, go through, overcome. And some of those hurdles and obstacles, they kind of fell by the wayside. And the natural process of playing a 100% guaranteed sport, injury guaranteed sport, took over and cleared the way for him. But you knew playing with Baker Mayfield was probably a good bet. You knew if there were going to be some opportunity for Emeka Egbuka, playing with Baker Mayfield was a better offensive situation than trying to figure it out in Tennessee with Cam Ward, than trying to figure it out in Carolina with Bryce Young. And give Tetairoa McMillan the credit. He's doing everything he possibly can, but that offensive situation, that environment, just it's not good with Bryce. He's not a high-level quarterback. So a lot of the analysis that we do early and talking about these players, honestly, it's player name and game identification and recognition, and then seeing how they operate. So as we go through and proceed through the draft process, once players are rumored to be with teams, you're like, oh yeah, that's a good fit. If Denzel Boston lands in Tampa Bay, I'm in, right? Using Tampa Bay as an example. If Makai Lemon is paired up with Joe Burrow, I'm in. All right. Or if this player is playing in an offense that's run by Tyler Shuck, I'm going to be a little more concerned. He's a smaller receiver, timing, accuracy, some of those things that we haven't quite seen yet. You get the point, right? But this receiver class is very, very, very talented here in 2026. And I think you're going to see some of that in Trevor's mock. So I'm pulling up his mock right now. Link will be in the description of this PFF post-trade deadline mock. It's free. At least I don't think you got to pay for it. I got a sub over here, but we're running through it. At the top, the New Orleans Saints. So this is based off of Tankathon's projected into season rankings. All this stuff gets shifted. Depending on when you watch it, Thursday Night Football, it is what it is, right? Saints, Ty Simpson at the top. Alabama, again, for a first-year starter who has 9-10 collegiate starts under his belt, it just, I don't know why. If Ty Simpson continues to play the way he's playing, I'm sure he'll be in the conversation, right? I'm sure he'll be in the conversation. But I'm also sure that Kalen DeBoer, those boosters down at Alabama, they'll probably write a blank check to say, hey, what does it take for you to stay right here? What's it take for you to stay right here in Tuscaloosa and run this thing back one more time? We only have 1 year with you. I don't want another Mac Jones. I want you to stay at least one more. If one of these guys that I'm skeptical on is going to come out, I think it would be Simpson over Moore. Saints take Ty Simpson at QB1. Love the game, love the skill set, just not sold he comes out. Tennessee's on the clock at 2. Trevor's got him going. Edge rusher, Ruben Bain. I think that's the right pick. I know get Cam Ward some help is what's necessary. They definitely need to get him a wide receiver or two, another tight end. But right here, you take the best available player. And a lot of people think this is edge rusher Ruben Bain. Now, I can also say maybe Arvell Reese, if you consider him to be like a Micah Parsons level clone linebacker edge rusher, could be worthy of that number 2 spot as well. Not a traditional linebacker. And here's where if I'm a Jets fan and I see this, I'm not happy. If I'm a Jets fan and I see Dante Moore here at pick 3, knowing that you've got 3 first-rounders in 2027, knowing that you have multiple first-rounders this year, I'm not doing this one. This is one I wholeheartedly disagree with Sikkema on this one. I don't believe Dante Moore is going to declare. And if we're being real, if you watch the play, he hasn't played like the number 3 overall pick. He hasn't. He has not played better than Fernando Mendoza. He's not played better than Ty Simpson. I know he's gone after Simpson here. I think this is, the Jets obviously need a quarterback, but if this were me, I would venture to say that they go another position, right? They go best available other position player that they need, and this is a spot where they have a veteran quarterback in the building, even if it's a bridge guy. Kyler, does they do something with that? Mac Jones, I know they would have to trade. I'm not certain. Moore declares, and what I feel a little more certain about is I don't think you want Dante Moore right now at this stage of his career rebuilding the New York Jets franchise. For the Miami Dolphins, they're definitely taking a quarterback. So right here, Fernando Mendoza. I've got no issue with Fernando Mendoza right here. No issue. Want to roll with Mendoza? No issue whatsoever. I think he's the top quarterback, he and Ty Simpson in this class. We'll see how it plays out in Miami. I hope they build around him. At number 5, Trevor's got the first receiver, and we finally get to talk about one, Jordan Tyson out of Arizona State. This is my top dog at wide receiver. He was wide receiver 1 coming into the season for me, and nothing has changed. Tyson is a dog. Tyson's ability to win in all quadrants of the field, all over the place, outstanding. He's a big play threat, vertical threat. You get it to him short, He can make defenders miss in tight spaces. Hands are solid. Production has been there. Arizona State up and down with Sam Levitt being in and out of the lineup. But this is all the making of a first-round wide receiver. He will absolutely be in the mix, if not the first wide receiver off of the board. And when you look at some of the metrics for Jordan Tyson, I'm going to pull this up right now and show y'all what I really love about his game is the route tree, right? You can see right here, percent of routes that he runs, go routes, 17% of his routes he's running are go routes, hitch routes, 11% post routes, so he's running deep stuff. He's getting the quick hitch game. I don't know if you guys saw, but Jackson Dart, absolutely a hitch merchant, throwing that hitch route at a high level here in New York in his rookie season. Is some of the routes that, for me, hog routes, hitch routes, out routes, go routes, you need to be proficient on those. All your top-level receivers are running those type of routes. So when you look at his route tree, a lot of percentage of go routes, downfield stuff. He can work the short and intermediate. And you see some of the screens. I don't mind seeing, 6% routes being screen routes, as long as he's got some other stuff that he's working down the field. 7, almost 8% of his routes are dig routes. He can run across the field. He's good on in breakers. So this is just the profile of a very technically sound, very good receiver. You see the reception chart for Jordan Tyson. He doesn't align on one side of the field. He doesn't avoid the middle of the field. He can play behind the line of scrimmage. This is a complete wide receiver. Complete wide receiver. That is Jordan Tyson. This is why, for me, this is the I guess you could question it. I don't want to say unquestioned because that would be dismissive to Carnell Tate, who was also an extremely talented wide receiver. But for me, this is why Jordan Tyson is the top dog. So if the Giants take him, that lets you know pretty damn strong class, right? You're pretty strong class if you're the Giants and you're taking a wide receiver top 5, knowing that you have Malik Neighbors on the roster. Let's work our way down this mock, talk through some more receivers. You got Spencer Fanu out of Utah going to the Cleveland Browns. And again, I agree with this. I like this. I don't know if Cleveland goes quarterback at 6 with the draft capital that they have here in this year's class and 27. Maybe they defer that down the line. At 7, the Las Vegas Raiders go Arvell Reese out of Ohio State, edge rusher, linebacker hybrid. Again, I don't want to say Micah Parsons, but you've got to think that. He's not a traditional, typical off-ball linebacker. He could just do it in college because he's a stud, but this is a guy that I think in the right system, and I don't know if Las Vegas is that right spot, but could be a dominant force off of the edge. The Cincinnati Bengals, this is one where you go back and forth because you're like, oh, you got to protect Burrow, but this defense is so laughably bad that they've got to improve this, and they continue to swing and miss with first rounders, top picks. Dax Hill, we'll see what Shamar Stewart is going to end up becoming. Miles Murphy, wasn't that another guy that got out of Notre Dame that hadn't developed into anything? Peter Woods hasn't had the type of season that a lot of people thought had coming in, but still worthy of a top pick in the draft. So Woods going to Cincinnati from Clemson. And then you've got Caleb Downs, safety out of Ohio State, going to Washington. Feels high. Feels high for a safety. He's a damn good one. He's the best one in the country. It just feels a little high. When the Washington Commanders, a very old team, the secondary is abysmal. Mansour Delane, maybe a cornerback. I know they took Amos, Lattimore. Downs at 9 feels a little high, but I'm not going to doubt the player. Nobody's going to be upset with having Caleb Downs on the roster. David Bailey, edge rusher out of Texas Tech, going to Baltimore for the Ravens, and we know they need edge rush help in the worst way, somebody that can help get after the quarterback. Rams are on the clock. They got this pick from the Falcons trade to go 2 D linemen in the first round, James Pearson, Jalen Walker, and they take Mansour Delane out of LSU, the cornerback. Love this pick. The Rams secondary always trying to upgrade out there. They've got their offense is solid. Defensive line, linebackers, they're getting that together. So to upgrade that cornerback position right there for the Rams, nice pick that they got from the Falcons at 11. The Cardinals go Vega Ione, the big interior offensive lineman, nasty offensive lineman out of Penn State. We got Francis Mauanoa out of Miami, going to the Houston Texans, and we know they need O-line help. Houston needs O-line help, protect C.J. Stroud. I know we said it about Burrow, but at least Houston has a competent defense. Go invest in the offensive line. At 14, my God, this is a typical Cowboys pick. This is a typical Dallas pick because nobody loves returning injured ACL players more than the Dallas Cowboys. Jermon McCoy was supposed to be CB1 coming into the season, has not played. Understand, I don't care how much talent he has yet to play football this season. I don't think you could take him right here at 14. We'll see. We'll see what he looks like coming back. He has yet to play this season. I don't know if you can do that. You can afford to do that if you're the Dallas Cowboys, especially after trading a 2027 first-round pick. You cannot afford to spend a first-round pick, the 14th overall pick, with some of the talent on the board on a cornerback. As talented as he looked last year, he still hasn't played with the ACL. Vikings at 15 go Jeremiah Love, running back out of Notre Dame. The Carolina Panthers. Isn't this interesting? Panthers right here at 16, Carnell Tate out of Ohio State. Carnell Tate out of Ohio State. The Panthers, y'all know they just drafted a cornerback, a wide receiver. They just drafted Tetairoa McMillan in the first round, top 10 in 2025. So they already have a top 10 pick at receiver, and they turn right around the following year and draft another one. This is not quite Cincinnati, but the Bengals picked T. Higgins at the top of the second round in 2020. Top of the second round, so damn near late first round pick. He had a very good rookie season with Joe Burrow before Burrow got hurt. Then the Bengals turned around the following season and took Jamar Chase in the first round. I know these aren't similar picks, and I'm not going to say T and Tate are similar to Jamar Chase, but this is a spot where I said it coming out. You could check right here on the channel. I'm not making it up now. I thought Tetairoa McMillan would be a good receiver. I thought Tetairoa McMillan could absolutely operate as a wide receiver one for the Carolina Panthers or for whichever team drafted him. But I didn't think that he was a difference-making Jamar Chase level of guy, and it didn't seem like he would be the type of guy that would prohibit them from upgrading the position again. That's what this feels like. That's what this feels like. This feels like them upgrading their wide receiver position again with Carnell Tate, finding somebody that can play in tandem with Carnell Tate and with Tetairoa McMillan. Hey, this is a dude. Tate is a dude. Let's pull up some of Tate's stuff because his route tree and some of the things that he does well. I mean, look at the EPA per play, the yards per target. Look at his spider graph, right? A lot of downfield stuff for Tate. Not as many routes, not as many dots on the passing chart because he is competing with Jeremiah Smith out there. But when you look at the things that he does well, go routes, 23% downfield work, curl routes. I like that. That hitch, that curl route that shows that, and his hitches are right at 10% as well. You get the ball in his hands quickly, he can turn around and make plays after the catch. You look at some of the things that he's done well on the season right now. Carnell Tate, 15 chunk plays. He's got 9 explosive plays, which are qualified as plays 30 yards down the field or more. Right? Short area receptions, he's got 12 of those on 13 targets. Medium area receptions, he's got 18 on 24 targets. And when they go deep, the conversion percentage is high. 9 receptions on 11 deep targets. No drops on the season for Carnell Tate. You're talking about a player 6'3", 191 pounds. The player that he reminds me of when I watch him on tape, he reminds me of a more explosive, more dynamic version of former Jaguars Pro Bowl wide receiver Allen Robinson. His downfield ability is nasty. Like this kid is improving his draft stock while playing on an offense with a bona fide number 1 overall pick potential. Carnell Tate. Ball tracking ability is outstanding. He's good. This would be one where I would be very curious to see how he and McMillan would interact in the same offense together because they're two sort of alpha dog mentality wide receivers. So I love that pick. Carolina upgrading their wide receiver with Carnell Tate post-trade deadline. Let's see what else Sikkema's got on the board. Kansas City Chiefs, they go edge rusher. Here, Kansas City people say that offensive line is the issue. O-line is the issue. TJ Parker out of Clemson. The Bears, their defense needs help in the worst way. Cassius Howe, violent edge rusher out of A&M, goes to Chicago at 18. The Cleveland Browns, here we go. The Browns go back to the wide receiver pool for wide receiver 3 off of the board. So we've got our third receiver in round 1, and this time it's Denzel Boston from Washington. 6'4", 210 pounds. 6'4", 210 pounds. Denzel Boston is a big, big receiver, but he's smooth. They got his ass at 6'4", 210, returning punts, returning kicks. Talked about the chunk plays, 15-plus yards. Carnell Tate at 15. Denzel Boston right now in the season has got 20 of them. He's got 20 of them. Let me show you where his routes and the distribution of receptions and targets lie for this big wide receiver. Here it is right here. You see right here on the left, a lot more dots on the screen than Carnell Tate. And much like Jordan Tyson, all over the place. Short, middle of the field, deep, sideline throws. When you're 6'4", 210, you're going to operate as a boundary receiver a lot, and you should be pretty successful on some of that downfield stuff. Let's take a look at his route concepts, what he's been running. 55 go routes, 26% of his routes downfield go routes, 13% of his routes are post routes, 10% over routes. You're not seeing a bunch of screens by him. That's not his game. Only 5 routes, screen routes this year, 3 targets on those routes. 21 slants, 10% slant combination. That's pretty good. Hitch routes, 20 routes, right? 9.5%. Not bad. Want to see that up a little bit. 14 curl routes. So I want to see some of the short area stuff. Get the ball in his hands. Can he do something? And then, of course, down the field on go routes and post routes, playing with Damon Williams. He's an absolute monster getting down the field in that regard. Denzel Boston, 6'4", again, 210 pounds, coming out of Washington. He's probably going to put his name on the radar to be a first-round caliber receiver. I absolutely think that he fits the mold of a round 1 receiver. So right there, we've got 3 between Boston, Tate, and Tyson. When we're looking at what we just had in 2025, Emeka, first-rounder, Matthew Golden, first-rounder. We had Tedero McMillan, first-rounder. Travis Hunter, if you want to consider him, first-rounder. Let's continue down the board. Let's continue down the draft board and see if any other wide receivers are selected in round 1 of this mock draft. And yes, the Pittsburgh Steelers, knowing they need a guy. My goodness, I thought at the trade deadline, this would be one of the teams that would be aggressive at trying to upgrade their number 2 receiver spot, and they didn't. They got to have somebody opposite DK. It's not Calvin Austin. It's not Roman Wilson. It's not Ben Skoranek. And you can throw as many tight ends out there as you want to. You still have to have a level of competency from your wide receiver 2 to really command the respect and the attention of DCs. And, I know the term, that dog in him, gets thrown out there a whole bunch, but that is the epitome of Makai Lemon. He is, in my opinion, he's one of the best receivers. He's a slot, as it says right here, it's a slot-only type receiver. But there are some Emeka Egbuka, Amon-Ra, St. Brown vibes right here. USC's got a history of really good wide receivers too. Drake London, Michael Pittman Jr., excellent wide receivers. He's not this big 6'3", 6'4", imposing downfield vertical X receiver, but you could line him up anywhere and he can operate and do just about anything. Jacoby Lane plays that role for USC, but Lemon, you get the ball in his hands and great things happen. You can see right here on the screen, sure-handed receiver, tough physical, can do some return stuff, great ball tracking skills. I think at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, Makai Lemon absolutely is going to be in that first round conversation. Let's see what he does in relation to some of the other receivers. So we still got Boston pulled up. Let's go to Makai Lemon and look at his route concepts, sort of his EPA tracking numbers. Playing with Jaden Maiava is pretty good this year. And you see that when that spider graph is lit up like that, that lets you know that the players is a good bet to throw the ball to. 22 chunk plays, 4 explosive plays, short receptions 23, medium receptions 18, deep receptions 9 of 11. Looks a lot like Carnell Tate. Let's see the reception chart, and there it is. A lot of shorter stuff for him. Not as much work down the field because he's not one of your traditional boundary outside wide receivers. But let's take a look at the routes that he runs that from that slot position. You got, and this is what I love. right? He's got 11% go routes. It's perfect. 21% hitch route, and he's getting thrown the ball 11, almost 12% of the time. Hitches, outs, and goes. Goes gives you that big play. Hitches and outs should be easy completions for you. In the league, that's just, you run up the field a little bit, turn around, let me get it to you, make something happen. Chase does it well. CeeDee Lamb does it well. The elite receiver, Amon-Ra, does it well. And he's being deployed like that in college, so I love seeing that. And even as a slot guy, he's not running 15, 25 screens, right? Only 7 screen routes on the season. So a very diverse route tree for Makai Lemon. Very solid wide receiver, 5'11", 190. I think he's absolutely on the round 1 radar. And you add him to this 2026 class and you look at that versus 25, again, we know Igbuka's dope. The situation is outstanding, but just as prospects, this class is already not just holding the candle, but the fire's on. The fire's on 26 versus 2025 when we're just talking about the wide receiver position. The class is stacked. Let's work our way down the mock a little more. We got Keldrick Falk, edge rusher out of Auburn, going to Lions. We know that they need some D-line help. Chargers going interior D-line. Caden McDonald out of Ohio State. Big boy, 6'3", 325 out of Ohio State going to the Chargers. 49ers lost their Williams, right? Mikael Williams lost him to an ACL, so that's unfortunate. So they're looking at Tennessee edge rusher Joshua Josephs for the 49ers, Bosa and Mikael Williams out. Dallas on the clock at 24 are Mason Thomas, edge rusher out of Oklahoma. Some very sad news out of Dallas. Second rounder last year, Marshawn Nealon, rest in power. Just a very, very sad situation. And reach out to your friends, reach out to your family, reach out to your loved ones. Really, really tough. Edge rusher defense in general is a huge need for the Dallas Cowboys. This is their second of their 2 first-round picks this year. For the first one, Trevor Adams taking a cornerback, Jermon McCoy out of Tennessee, and right here, edge rusher R. Mason Thomas, who's been really good out of Oklahoma. Some explosiveness on this defensive front. Colton Hood, another cornerback out of Tennessee, going to Buffalo. So just sweeping those Tennessee Volunteers off the board here in this mock. You got Seattle going with the guard. Jennings Dunker out of Iowa, upgrading that offensive line for Sam Darnold. At 11, we've got Caleb Lumo out of Utah, the other tackle, going to the Rams. So now the Rams go back to the trenches. On the other side of the ball, we know the Broncos haven't been as excited about their tight ends position this year. So they've got Kenyon Sadiq out of Oregon. Sonny Styles, big linebacker, playing next to Arvell Reese out of Ohio State, going to Tampa Bay. Austin Saraved out of Ohio State, the tackle, going to the New England Patriots. And yeah, leave it to Mike Vrabel to know these Ohio State guys. You've got Caden Proctor, once thought of to be a top 5 pick in the draft, falling to the Philadelphia Eagles here at 31. And then Christian Miller, defensive lineman out of Georgia, going to the New York Jets. And that is a pick acquired from the trade with the Colts. So I'm going to scroll up to the board and just look at the full overall big board from Sikkema. Here it is. We had 4 wide receivers selected in the round 1 of this mock. Jordan Tyson went to the Giants at 5. We also had Carnell Tate going to the Panthers at 16, Denzel Boston at 19 to the Cleveland Browns, and Makai Lemon at 20 to the Pittsburgh Steelers. So those were the 4 first-round wide receivers according to Trevor Sikkema. I think all 4 of those guys are absolutely first-round picks. Chris Brazell Jr. may be somebody's flavor as well. Another receiver that I just want to throw out there that I absolutely love his game. And I think that if you're talking about one of these risers, I don't know if he'll be a Senior Bowl invite, if this will just be something that happens throughout the combine. But Chris Bell out of Louisville, my goodness, this is a big boy wide receiver. I mean, he is built. He has got an A.J. Brown-esque body type. Chris Bell is a problem on the outside. Size, speed, playmaking ability. I mean, he has been outstanding this season for Louisville. 6'2", 220 pounds. 6'2", 220. I think Chris Bell, if Denzel Boston is being viewed as a round 1 wide receiver, I also believe Chris Bell should be inside that conversation as well. Let's look at Bell. Let's look at Bell. 6'2", 220. Louisville on the season. He's got 752 receiving yards, 6 receiving touchdowns on his 85 targets on the season. When you look at where he plays, little different, right? You see him only playing that X receiver side, not really moving him to that Z side, to the opposite of Miller Moss. He's playing on the right side of the formation almost exclusively. So something to be noted and check out with his profile. But man, he catches everything. You see the passing chart right here. Take a look at Chris Bell's routes, how he's been deployed on the season down the field. 45 go routes. He's got 49 hitch routes, 28 post routes, 14 out routes, 21 curl routes, 11 digs, 21 drags. Probably the most robust route tree that we're looking at right now. At 6'2", 220, this is going to be a steal. Even if he's not a first-round pick, this is the type of cat in the second round I want to bet on. He has played outstanding ball this year with a good combine. I don't think there's any way that he stays buried, hidden, a sleeper. Chris Bell is the real damn deal. So I wanted to highlight him before we got out of here today to just, and then I guess I can throw some more names out there in this class of really good receivers. Jeremy Bernard out of Alabama. Jeremy Bernard out of Alabama, very good wide receiver. Casey Concepcion out of Texas A&M. We got Chris Brazell the second out there. Omar Cooper catching passes from Fernando Mendoza. I think he's going to be in the mix. Jacoby Lane out of USC. Deion Burks from Oklahoma. And I know it's been a down season for Antonio Williams, but with the strong combine, maybe he puts his name back on the map. So you look at this class in its entirety. While there may not be a Jamar Chase in the class, there may not be a CeeDee Lamb right off the rip. I think with the guys that are going to be in contention for first round consideration, this class on paper, in my opinion, if you look at them as prospects, not what Egbuka has done in the NFL, not what McMillan has done in the NFL, but when you're just looking at McMillan and Egbuka and Matthew Golden versus this class, 2026, I think is a little better on paper. I think we've got a little better crop of receiver at that top range here in 2026 than we had in 2025. As good as Egbuka did, he was picked 12 spots after Teteroa McMillan. So, and then you've got Matthew Golden inside that first round and Travis Hunter, if you're considering Travis Hunter as a first round pick. And I know a lot of people still, that's up in the air if he's solely a wide receiver or a wide receiver defensive back combo hybrid that he's been playing this season. So shout out to Trevor Sikkema. Shout out to PFF. A lot of mock drafts flowing around. I know there's a lot of panic about the 26 class, and yeah, I think it is a little down, especially at that QB position. The wide receivers are loaded. It's looking talented. We got to work on the running back spot a little bit. We got to work on the running backs because right now it's Jeremiah Love and then a lot of I don't knows after that, but I'm sure we will talk about it here on the channel. I appreciate you being here. Hit the thumbs up button, like the video, like the content, subscribe to the channel, join the podcast feed. That way, if you can't catch the video, you can just listen to it. Wake up with Jay Rich and myself every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and check out all the dope stuff that we do. Much love. I appreciate y'all. I'm out. Peace.